So, what do you do when your spouse is immunocompromised during this whole coronavirus thing, but your ex keeps taking your kids out on social events during quarantine? That is today's question on Tips on Teens. Every Wednesday at noon, I come to you live on Facebook Live to answer your parenting questions that you can email us at tipsonteens@teentherapycenter.com. My name is Kent Toussaint. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm the founder of the group private practice Teen Therapy Center, and also the executive director of the nonprofit organization Child and Teen Counseling, both here in Woodland Hills, California. Let's jump into today's very poignant question. My husband is immunocompromised, so we've been very careful about interacting with others during this time. Here's the issue. My ex-husband has taken our kids out to social events at friends' houses pretty much each week since the quarantine has started. It's his time with them, and I want to respect that, but I'm worried that the kids might bring something home from these outings. We really can't risk my husband getting coronavirus, but I also don't want to start a fight with my ex about this. How do I bring up my concerns to my kids and my ex? I gotta admit, this is a really hard question. I don't think there's an easy solution for any of this, but I've been thinking a lot about this, and there's a lot of variables to consider. First, I assume you know your ex pretty well. You were married to this guy for a period of time. You kind of know how he works. Is he doing this because he's kind of oblivious to the risks and the concerns, or is he doing it maliciously? Is he, engaging in a type of parental alienation that is kind of beyond what we're used to? And for those of you who don't know what parental alienation is, it's when two parents are divorced and one parent is trying to pit the other kids against the other parent, and it's pretty much a horrible situation for the kids ultimately. So if you think that your husband is being malicious in this, and he's doing it to get the upper hand on you, there's not anything you're going to say to him that's going to change his mind. He's just going to do it, and that's just the way it is. Many of you have dealt with spouses or ex-spouses who are narcissistic and vindictive, and trying to try to reach out to their better angels is kind of a pointless gesture. So I don't think that's really going to work. If you think that your husband is really just kind of oblivious to the risks, it may be worth a phone call where very respectfully and with as much humility as you can, explain the risks, explain the concerns, explain how it could affect the kids not being able to see their mom. And if he has any kind of empathy and understanding, hopefully he will try to shift this and not take your kids out on social gatherings during when we should be kind of quarantining as much as we can. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to be stuck in the house. You can go on bike rides, you can go on walks. There's a lot of things you can do outside as long as you have that 6-foot bubble, that we're all told to have, and, make sure you're washing hands and cleaning doorknobs and light switches and all those fun things. So that's with the parent side. With the kid side, it gets even more complicated, because are these kids 7 or are they 17? Because there's different conversations to have. I don't know, maybe not sometimes. If your children are young school-age kids, or even middle school, or even some high school kids, they don't have the strength and the ability to stand up to the other parent and say, hey, this is wrong, I can't do this. And you can't blame your kids for that. Even if they're 17, you can't blame them for that. So you have to determine, is it safe for them to come to your house? And if it is not safe to come to your house, and that means for the next couple months, they won't be able to come to your house, that's a horrible situation to be in, and I get it. But your husband's life may be at stake, and so you have to really determine how to handle that. And if you determine that if they keep going on these outings, they can't come to your house, you need to talk to them in a very loving, compassionate, frank way, depending on the age. So if they're 7, say, hey, I know that, your stepdad, he's very sick, and we have to protect him right now, and I love you, and I miss you, and as soon as this is all over, you guys can come over. We're going to FaceTime every day. I would write them letters, actually write a handwritten letter. When was the last time you got a handwritten letter? How exciting is it to get a handwritten letter? It's not the same as an email or a text. Taking the time to write a handwritten letter, drop it in the mail, and maybe that's what you do every day. You do those handwritten letters, and you do the FaceTime, you play games online with your kids, but you can't blame the kids. You can't put pressure on them. You can't say, it's okay, honey, I understand, then start crying on FaceTime, because that's just put a bunch of guilt on them. They can't handle this. Now, if they're older teens, maybe they can handle some of this. Maybe you have to say, listen, you're going to have to make a choice. You can go out with your dad and socialize, and if you do, I understand. Just to let you know, if you do that, you can't come home until the quarantine is over, and I'm sorry, I miss you. I understand if you need to do that, and I love you if you need to do that. I get it. Don't blame them. Don't hurt them. Don't put the guilt on them. Say, well, okay, if you go there, then you can't see me, and then I'll just be really sad. You can't put the guilt trip on them, because it's not fair to them. A lot of kids cannot stand up to their parents that way, and it's not their fault. They're kids. A lot of adults cannot stand up to their parents. So, you can't blame a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old for not being able to set that boundary with their dad or their mom. But again, same thing with kids. Keep reaching out. Play Uno online with them. Play chess. Have a virtual dinner like a lot of people are doing. Go on a walk with your dog, and while they walk their dog, you guys can walk dogs together and virtually do that together. But again, if dad is doing this out of malicious intent, there's nothing you're going to do to stop that. If he's just oblivious, maybe appealing to his higher angels will help him kind of see, have more boundaries around their socializing. Again, they can still go out. If the kids aren't coming to your house, keep reaching out to them through online, through writing letters, doing things to make their connection with you guys seem as strong as it can be, because we don't know how long this is going to last. This is a really crazy time. It's everyone's first pandemic. We're just getting through this. And I wish I had an easier answer for you, but this is a tough situation and a tough answer and a new level of parental alienation that most of us have not dealt with. Anyways, if you have questions you'd like to ask me for me to answer next week on Tips on Teens, you can email us at tipsonteens@teentherapycenter.com or direct message us right here on Facebook. Again, my name is Kent Toussaint, and I look forward to answering your questions next week on Tips on Teens. Bye-bye.